The one thing that Power Rangers has over most superheroes is a flashy changing sequence. While Spider-Man and Batman are putting on pants and a mask, Jason pulls out a small buckle and yells out a phrase. Iron Man has to carry around a suitcase, then has to wait while all the parts fly around him. Shane has his morpher on his arm and can instantly turn it on. Speed is never a problem. The cool aspect of the show is finding out how each season does theirs. We've gotten some simple ones like the Alien Rangers, or we have odd long ones like Wild Force. Six Rangers sometimes get cooler ones than the main team. It's also interesting to see how the US team does theirs compared to Super Sentai's, or if they decide to use the Japanese ones.
Turbo version 1.
This is the one thing that I've liked from Turbo. It's because this was the first time the show was able to use CGI for a morph. Compared to today's standards, it's crummy. Most kids now wouldn't find it cool, but for 1997, it was good. A lot better than the horrible CGI Megazord fight in the first movie. I also like it because having two-piece morphers kind of torments the actors. I like watching how most of them mess up or just don't even have the key out. It's why sometimes the lens flares over the key. They got to do that steering wheel motion and stare straight ahead. You're never going to get that key in the slot. The movie Morph is also the few times they actually use the effects technique called Morph, switching between their clothes to the suit. There's one thing I always wanted an answer for. When you watch Tanya's Morph, you can see some kind of railing. I always wondered what that was. It could have easily have just been a mistake, but I don't buy that. There's no good reason to have railing like that. The actors are just on a simple green screen on the floor. No need to put them in the air, not to mention the director would have been extremely dumb leaving that stuff in the shot. My theory? The morph was going to be something more elaborate. I was picturing the railing was going to be on top of their Zords like the chariot platform Connor uses on the Mezzodon rover. They say their vehicle name, then the camera cuts to a wider view showing them on top of their Zords. The suit comes on, then they cut back to the close-up for their helmet shots. Either they scrapped it because of cost or they thought having the camera far away would make them look like ants, so they tossed the idea out.
In space.
This is the third time PR has used footage from the Japanese henshin sequence. It fits pretty well into the space theme, even though Mega Ranger was built around video game aspects. The voice on the morpher does give it that extra cool factor. I also liked how the morph gave the basic stats on the suit and weapons. They did this again in Overdrive. Never liked the gibberish text though. I know it doesn't matter in Japan. I still hate that Zane didn't get a full morph sequence. They never had that shot of him opening his eyes like the other five. If you're wondering what was changed in the original footage, the opening eye shot replaces 2 seconds of footage where the Japanese cast are changing into the suits. Then the Morphing Complete text blocks out Mega Ranger text. It covers up Mega Red Ready, and when it flies toward the screen, it blocks the word OK as the helmets flip into view. Now that we don't use CRT TV sets anymore, we can see some of the original text, especially on Carlos's morph.
RPM.
This is a pretty good one. All the Rangers race down curving streets, brake, and put their helmets on, followed by that explosion, which is totally useful to dispel excess energy. I really like the morphs that use the show's theme with it. Turbo's one is cool, like I've said, but it doesn't involve anything car-related. RPM gets that down to a T. Gem and Gemma's ones are more interesting. They do a loop-de-loop. My favorite part is how they incorporate the suspender belt into the morph. I also want to talk about a personal pet peeve. Show the full morph sequence without it being squished or whatever at least once.
Daggeron.
I like his over the others. They're interesting, but some parts of the Mystic Rangers morph is kind of stupid. They fly up, but then they just randomly jump off a box into view. They go from cool to dumb, then back to cool. Daggeron's one is better. It's half US, half Japanese henshin. The US part is him throwing the card and then enveloping him, similar to the Lightspeed Rescue. Then it switches over to Japanese footage when you see him in his ancient mystic mode as the suit armor goes around him. That's what I liked about his design. It looks like battle armor versus the usual spandex, and I like the card feature of his morpher.
MMPR Season 3.
I preferred the way they did their morph in Season 3 than Season 1 and 2. It always bugged me that Tommy called out his Zord name, but the others just said they're animals. I like consistency more, so Adam saying Black Ranger power was better. Plus, there's 2 versions. Unmorphed version, which has the goof with Rocky's morpher not opened, then the Ninja to Ranger morph version.
SPD.
SPD's morph stands out as very original. I like that the suits are projected from their morphers. They do a lot of things in this one. Flip around in the air, basically stolen from Dino Thunder. It's nice looking, but at the same time, it's very simple. They give different variations for the other Rangers. Kruger jumps down the tunnel and Cat does a different type of flip. SPD is also the only time where 3 Rangers exchanged morphers and got one-off custom variations. Sky morphed into the Red Ranger, then Bridge got to morph as the Red Ranger. The only thing that sucked was that we never saw Sam or Nova morph.
Lightspeed.
Lightspeed morph was also an interesting one. SPD is very similar to this. CGI tunnel, the helmet visor shape shoots out, then envelops the person. It does look like they're being covered in candy since people like to make fun of the suits looking like mints. Ryan's morph is also nice. I swear the SPD effects team just watched Lightspeed. Kruger jumps down while Ryan's tunnel comes down on him.
Ninja Storm.
I really like this season's morph. We had 3 different team styles, so each one had their own take. Shane, Tori, Dustin's suits had a shattering effect while being surrounded by extreme nature conditions. The Thunder team was just being cool, standing up while the suits formed around them with lightning. And Cam, calmly sitting down, meditating. It fits the characters very well, except when Cam is on the same CGI rock ground from Dustin's morph. I think him being in front of the Ninja Academy would have suited him better. I also like that they even changed their call outs. Ninja Storm, Thunderstorm, Samurai Storm.
Overdrive.
Another season I totally hate everything about, but the morph was really good. I like that the tracker projected the Ranger's suit stats and weapons. The CG environment fits the show, especially Tyzon's. Hartford hired a group of people and shoves them out over and over again to find the crown, a revolving conveyor belt. I do think the helmet shot was kind of lame. The Rangers are just sitting in front of themselves, plus the reuse of the Mystic Force moving sky effect. They should have had the Zords behind them, like how Dino Thunder did theirs, and added the other Zords as they got them. So Mac would have had the Dump, Drill, and Battlefleet 1 over time.
Zeo.
Not surprising, I picked Zeo for the same reasons why it's my favorite morpher. There's so many steps they have to do to use it. They gotta first call the morphers, call out the phrase, click them together, and then the sequence starts. The Zeomorph is the second time PR has used the Japanese henshin. I think it's better than O-Rangers. The other 4 Rangers didn't get that much. The money was spent only on red. I like the grid pattern. It was convenient that O-Ranger used a grid just like how Jew-Ranger used a grid, so it felt like a good transition between the two. The changes done between O-Ranger and Zeo was that they added the cast under the grid patterns. In O-Ranger, the Ranger suits just formed in front of black, nothing else. And Cat's glove shot was really Red's glove in O-Ranger. I still like to know why Jason didn't have a morpher. I really don't have a set preference of what a good morph is. It's not the length or the complexity. For example, the Airlane Ranger one is fine, but I hate the Time Force one. Both are simple. I don't care for the Jungle Fury ones, and they're pretty flashy, but they're too fast. Samurai is boring and takes forever. It just has to click with me. And I never really cared that PR sometimes uses the Japanese henshin. It saves some money, and Japan has come up with a lot of good ones. Although I hate it when PR copies a henshin. For example, Super Mega Force. The X and V symbols make no sense in PR. What are your favorites? Do you like the fast ones or the more elaborate ones that go crazy? If you have a suggestion on what you would like me to talk about in a future top 10, leave a comment down below. For next week's episode, I'll talk about my 10 favorite season suits.